Hello, Scrappy Peeps! Suzanna here today for Spiegel Mom Scraps, and if you shop at the store and you use the code Suzanna with a Z, 15, you can save 15% off. So that is the layout that I created, and with the sequins, really all I did was sprinkle the sequins, and that will come at the end. But I did use Shimmerz product also from the Spiegel Mom Scrap store, and that is also 15% off if you use that code that I mentioned earlier. So I started off with a digital cut file from Paige Evans. I just used half of the file. It's a frame and it's a floral. And I knew I wanted to use the collection Willow Lane from Maggie Holmes by Crepe Paper. And it had that green, navy blue, sort of a, it's not pink, but it's like a reddy pink, and it had that sort of a mustardy yellow. So what I'm doing here is I'm using shimmers, and I started off with a Nouveau shimmer powder, which is not available from Spiegel Mom Scraps. That was a powder that you just lightly apply and then activate with water. And then I'm doing the packaging technique here with the shimmers, which is from the Spiegel Mom Scrap store. And to do that, literally all you do is you dab a little bit of the shimmers onto a piece of packaging. You spray water to kind of thin it out so that it's kind of puddly, and then you just sort of dab it here and there on the layout where you want it. Now, I did, at somebody's recommendation, use clear gesso to prime my paper. However, this paper has warped a fair amount. I'm not sure whether I didn't put enough of the clear gesso to start with, or if, I'm not sure. I have to play with the clear gesso a little bit more. But basically what I've done here with all of the color is that is going to be the background behind the cut file that I used. And the cut file is going to be tone on tone. And so, really, it's the white cut file on top of the white mixed media sort of embellished paper. And so it adds a little bit of color behind the cut file and just kind of pops the cut file in a way. You'll see once I get that cut file on the top there. I have these two flowers that are from the Willow Lane collection. They are white stitching, or it's faux stitching on top of that blue. And I wanted to pop them out to add some color to the floral that is in that digital file. Now, I knew I needed that yellow that's on that background paper there to pop the color that's in the layout. And so I'm going to put it on there somewhat askew to kind of frame. By having that right angle behind the right angle of the digital cut file, it pops that cut file and it pops the color and the effect that I wanted of the tone on tone. So I'm just going to trim off these borders so that it actually is a 12 by 12 layout when it sits on there. And then I am going to gut the back of that yellow paper. I don't have a lot of this collection, and I love those butterflies that are in the collection, and I would love to be able to use more of what I have. And so in order to make it last a little further, I am, right there, going to gut that. And then I'm actually going to run upstairs and I'm going to stitch the border, and again it's going to be tone on tone, just a straight line on the white just inside to add a little bit more texture to the layout there. And it may be that doing that is what helped warp the paper, but if you were to look at it and you were to see, I really think, well, maybe it's a mix of both of those things. Who knows? It's warped, but once it gets into a page protector and it sits in an album for a while, it will be just fine. So that is where that digital cut file is going to go, and that is a photo of me and my daughter. She was getting ready for cotillion, and before we were taking her to her friends for some staged posed photographs, she allowed me to take this one selfie of her, and so that's what the photo is. I decided that leaf there was it ruined the symmetry of what I wanted, and so I cut it off, and because I cut it off, it ruined the balance. I wanted to use it somewhere, and you'll see where I've tucked it there. I will move it, and that will not be where it ends up going. So I am going to use my Scotch liquid adhesive and just put as much of that down as I can without it drying before I get it down. I'm okay if bits and pieces of it pop up off the page because it adds to the movement of the page, and I like movement on my layouts there. So that is the foundation, and then I'm going to add flowers and butterflies and elements here and there to pop that and make that arbor. It looks kind of like a flower arbor to me. It make that arbor a little bit more visually interesting. So I have a thread ball in pink. I like the way that if you use a contrasting color, you can get things to just add a little bit more color and get things to pop. So I have a pink thread ball behind there, and that's very subtle. You really don't see a whole lot of that in the layout. And then I'm going to use some of the thickers and stickers to further embellish the rest of this layout. So that black sticker, that little banner sticker that I just put down there, ends up being the title of this layout, and it says Happy Little Moments. And I like the subtlety of that as the title because there's a little bit of symbolism behind that. My daughter is 12, and she acts every bit of a female 12. I am not allowed to take pictures of her anymore, so that I was allowed to take this selfie was quite remarkable. And she's 12. That's all I'm going to say. I don't want to get negative about it, but she's 12, and so the symbolism between the little happy moments, as my title, is that this is one of a few happy moments that we have had together recently, and I was celebrating that fact in the creation of this layout. So I have some fussy cut flowers that are from another one of the pattern papers. They're just teeny little delicate flowers. I cut a few of those out for a little bit more floral embellishment, and I am going to pop the photo up on some fun foam, and then behind that fun foam I'm going to put this glassine bag. So the glassine bag is too tall. I could have ripped the bottom of the glassine bag and left the tab top of the glassine bag, but I really didn't want that against the background. So what I did was instead I ripped the top, and that just gave me a straight edge. And that way I could stick, I will stick a tag in behind there. It's a yellow tag. It's one of the Fancy Pants tags from, I can't remember the name of the collection, but it had Rello. When you put red and yellow together, you get Rello. It had a red and yellow, blue and green primary color tags of 2 different sizes in there. I'm going to put the large yellow tag, and that contains my journaling in there. And so now what I'm doing is I'm just sticking down all of the bits and pieces and kind of finding nice homes for all of them, or I've actually found homes. I'm committing them to their new homes. And I love that little sort of floral scene that has been created there. Then what I'm going to do, I just wanted a little bit more color. So I am going to sprinkle a sprinkling of Spiegelmom Scraps Sequins, and the sequins mix that I'm going to use is called Easy Breezy Beautiful. It matches perfectly with this collection, so if you're looking for something, that is an option to consider. And then I'm going to do what I typically do to adhere sequins down, and what I do is I put a blob of glue, I pick up the sequins with the end of my fine line applicator, stick that down into the blob of glue, and then move on to the next one. So that is why I created that layout, how I created that layout, and I would be happy to answer any questions if you have any questions. I'd also be happy to hear about your tween teenagers if you have any, and any advice that you might have on parenting these tween girls, because oh my, they sure do test your patience. We will survive, I know we will, but there's some days that, yeah, there's a reason I'm in my scrap room and she's in her room. So there I am sticking the sequins mix on there. Now I will say that there were 2 other mixes that I considered when I was creating this layout. I honestly don't remember which ones they were off the top of my head, but there are other possibilities. This is just the one that I really found that worked with the colors that I chose to use. So thanks for stopping in today, my friends. I hope you are doing well. I look forward to seeing you again soon. Take care.